KFSR and CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger, a public affairs program featuring stories from all over the Central Valley with Sevag Tateosian, 90.7 KFSR.
Welcome to another edition of the Central Valley Ledger. We're recording out of the beautiful downtown Fresno studios of the Community Media Access Collaborative, Fresno and Clovis. Today's guest is an athlete, he's a competitor, and he has a very unique story. I can't wait for you to hear his story. Tony Williams, welcome to the program, Mr. Tony Williams.
Thanks for having me.
So you are competing in long jump, is it?
Yeah, that's my event.
Okay, but before we get there, let's talk about your background a little bit. Tell us about yourself.
Okay, so right now I'm 39 years old, turned 39 March 23rd, born in 79. I've been running track since third grade at West Fresno Elementary School. I started running track there because one of the coaches saw how fast I was playing flag football. So I've been running track since third grade. I tapped into football, basketball, but I always fell in love with track. Then I fell in love with running long distance, so I did some cross country. And then I dibble-dabbled into flag football, tackle football, basketball, did some baseball, but always came back to track. So
all roads led you back to track.
Yep, all roads led to track. I received all kind of medals, ribbons. I was always the fastest in every school I went to, from elementary to middle school. And then once I went to high school, I was challenged. My freshman year was at Edison, and Edison had some beasts, had Tyrese Helms, Paul Holland, Atnoff Harris, Jamal Alexander.
So you get there and you're like, man, I thought I was good. I'm looking at these guys, they're bringing some heat.
Yeah, they bringing it, but they challenged me. I didn't make not one relay team. They made all the relay teams. They made all the records, but I didn't look at them funny. I like this. They pushed me and they humbled me. So Mom moved out of the district and I ran for Roosevelt.
Okay.
So my freshman year, I went to Edison High School. My sophomore, junior, and senior year, I ended up graduating at Roosevelt. At Roosevelt, I started to sprint William Acuna and Mel Gray. He was a Cardinals football player back in the 70s, one of the fastest in the league. He was my coach. And I tapped into this long jump a little bit. I did okay, but it wasn't until I went to Reedley College. Tony Rotella and Edmund Jeffries were my coaches. That's when I began to excel in the long jump. And I stuck with that ever since.
And the long jump, that's your specialty.
That's my specialty, yes.
So you're going to be competing and going to Spain. And before we get there, talk about where you've gone to compete, because I understand there's a country with the Eiffel Tower that you've been there to, but that was a story in itself.
Yeah, so 2015, about 2014, there were some issues going on at the job, and I foreseen them, but I was like, I took it for granted, and then it hit me. Lost the job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, lost the job. Well, it was a mass layoff, and I couldn't find another job to replace the income, so I ended up losing the house, and that broke me down.
So that in itself could really, like you said, break somebody. You know, if you lose a house, the last thing some people will say the last thing I'm thinking about is competing in this long jump.
Yeah.
So you lose a house, and then what?
So before I end up giving up the keys, I had to get rid of everything that I had worked for, everything that was given to me was like, my bed, my big, nice, expensive bed, my 50-inch TV. So I had to get rid of all of this stuff. And then giving up the keys broke me. But before I gave up the keys, I was making phone calls. I was slightly in a depressed state. And I got sick of Fresno, and I said, you know what, I want to start over somewhere else. So I called friends and family, see if I could start over in another city. I moved out of Fresno, and I ended up coming back because it didn't work out. People were excited to help me, but you know, when reality hit, it just didn't work out. So I used the last little bit I could and came back to Fresno with 2 suitcases. I stayed with my brother. That didn't work out. I called people on Craigslist, stayed with a guy on Craigslist. That was hell.
Wow.
Craigslist, the site is fine, but the roommate
Didn't work out.
it didn't work out. I stayed with friends. That didn't work out.
How are you paying for these things? Like, are you working? Were you working at the time?
At this time, I went back to the airport working for the airline, early morning shift. So I stayed by Fresno State with my brother, and I would walk all the way to the airport because I had no car at the time.
Oh, wow.
So from Fresno State to the airport is about a 2-hour walk.
Wow.
Yeah, it's about a 2-hour walk. So I would leave around 1:30 in the morning, get there by 3:30.
I love the motivation,
Yeah.
by the way. You know, you got a job, and instead of saying, you know, I can't get there, I'm not going, you walked there.
Yeah, I didn't want to depend. I've learned from losing my house to having all these roommates, I had to grind on my own. I had to develop some type of resilience and persistence and create a grind. So walking to the airport was humbling, but it changed me.
Wow.
So I walked to the airport, and my first paycheck, I got me a bike.
Nice.
Got me a bike, and when I get off work, I just catch the bus because buses don't run all day here. So at this time, things didn't work out with the roommates, brother, friends, family, or whatever. So I'm on my wits' end. I got 2 suitcases and bus fare. I catch the bus to my church. And my hope was that I was not man enough to call my pastor and say, I'm about to be homeless. Before I go to the Salvation Army, I need help.
Yeah, yeah.
So I caught the bus, and the bus stopped me about 2 blocks away. I get off the bus carrying my suitcases, and I'm walking towards my church. My church is on Palm and Belmont, Ephesus Apostolic Ministries. That's my church. So I see my pastor's car. I see his car, take a deep breath, and then I'm walking like I'm about to confess, like this is the walk from,
2 blocks probably felt like 2 hours.
Felt like the 2-hour walk. So I seen within a block, I see my pastor come out, then he's pacing like he forgot something. Then he walks back into church. All right, so now I speed up my walk. I'm at the front of the door, and before I was able to put my keys in the door, he opens up, and I say, can I talk to you? And I sat down, and
By that, he knew something was up.
Yeah.
Right? He knew something was up.
I think he saw the suitcases, and he said, yeah, sure, come on. And right then was when I pretty much broke down, like, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. Do you have any connections? Do you know anybody? And he said, this is what you could do. Just sleep in a church. Sleep in the back of the church. This is before I got the job at Blast. Mm-hmm. So I'm sleeping in the back of the church, and the first week I'm broken. Like, I cried every single night.
It's a tough thing. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you're going through, and you even willing to share the information is a big thing. You know what I mean? A lot of people wouldn't share it.
Well, at that time, I didn't want to share. My pride was too much. But now I could look back and say, this changed me. I got to talk about this.
Yeah, yeah.
So every night I cry. I felt less of a man. I felt undateable. Like, who am I to date? What do I have to offer?
And at that point, things could have gone south for you.
Yeah.
You could have experimented with drugs, alcohol, got into some wrong things. You did. I mean, I don't know you, but it sounds like you didn't go that route.
No, the temptation was there though. As much as I love God and love the church, when you at your rock bottom and your wits end, your mind begin to go places. Like, maybe I just need to give up on life and just leave track alone. And it wasn't until my pastor preached a message on faith. Then I began, that night, he preached that message on faith. The name of the message was, I Believe God. He preached that on a Sunday, and I held on to that until Sunday night. When everybody left church and I'm just sitting in the back by myself, I said, you know what? I'm going to get me a car and not pay for it. Within 2-3 weeks, I got me a job at the gym. Now I'm working, catching a bus. I'm sleeping in the back of the church, but I take care of my hygiene and my shower and all that. And we were talking a little bit off air. I wanted to tap into that a little bit, then we could go back into it. The church didn't have a shower because it's just a church.
Right. It's just a regular bathroom.
Yeah.
No shower. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I got the job at the gym, I went and I took my first shower. I take wash-offs, but when I took my first shower, wow.
And that was at the gym.
This was at the gym. So stuff we take for granted, I embraced.
Like a simple shower. And yes, even I say this to my guests sometimes about how when our food is a little salty, or if our fancy named $6 caffeinated beverage, which I'm guilty of enjoying, isn't good enough, we send it back a little upset.
Yeah.
Here you are, man. You're happy just to take a shower, right?
I'm sitting there, I'm enjoying every moment of it, and that shower took about 45 minutes. I'm relishing the moment, like it's been a while since I actually had a nice shower. And the stuff people take for granted, I began to take it to heart. You could lose it, and then you don't know how bad it's important to you
Until it's gone.
So I've been brushing my teeth, doing little simple wash-ups, but taking the shower was, and then occasionally, like Pastor gave me a time limit to be in the house, in the church. I had a client that allowed me to stay in one of their transitional homes. They had a shower and everything, but when I moved out of the church and into this home, my life, it kind of went full circle. That's when I started to think about stuff, like think about making a change, establishing goals, vision boards, and all of this, changing my crowd. And then at this time, I've already gotten my car. Back to my point earlier, Pastor preached a message on, I Believe God. And that was a faith message. So for 7 days, I walked around the church. I'm going to get me a car and not pay for it. I'm a personal trainer, not making this much money. The money I have, I had to get food and eat it immediately. So it was in one hand, out the other.
Right.
So for about a week, I said, I'm going to get me a car and not pay for it. I'm going to get me a car and not pay for it. Lord, help me to get me a car and not pay for it. I'm praying this prayer. And after a week was over, I get a phone call. A lady in Hanford blessed me with a car. She said, you know what? I got a proposition for you. I'm thinking somebody want free personal training or something like that, free workout. I saw the text. I said, all right, this is okay. After 3 days, I called this person up and say, what is this proposition? She told me that she just bought a car, and the car she used to have is just sitting there. She wants to give it to me. I said, what?
What did I hear? You want to give me something?
All right. And at this time, I'm out the church. I'm staying in the home. Blast Fitness closed down already. And I got a job. The guy that hired me at Fitness Evolution, his name is Gary Guyton. He interviewed me, hired me on the spot. I started working there. So I went from catching a bus from Palm and Belmont to just walking from Ashland and Marks to Fig Garden Loop. So he hired me. At this time, I'm training. And also at this time, I'm preparing for France. I'm thinking about it. The seed has already been planted, and I'm working towards it. So the lady says she wants to give me the car. She gives me the rundown. I'm like, all right. Let me figure something out. How am I going to get this car? What am I going to do? What about insurance? I'm sitting up here,
Right.
all this, and the Lord just put on my mind, you asked for this.
Now I'm giving it to you.
Now I'm giving it to you.
Now you figure it out.
Yeah, so now I called this lady up and said, I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to get there. She said, don't worry about it. I have to go to Fresno anyway. I'm going to drive my car. My daughter's going to drive your car that I'm going to give you. They drove all the way from Hanford to the gym, parked the car, gave me the keys. They were in a hurry to leave, and they left. When they left, it hit me like, I didn't pay for this.
Yeah, like I got a car.
I got a car. But it really hit me when I closed down the gym. When I was done with my last client, I went out, and my usual route is to go to the right on my way to the bus stop where Walmart is on Shaw and Broadley. Then the Lord said, where are you going? Catching the bus. Look, I got me a car.
Right, the car is right there, and it's yours.
And it's mine, and I didn't pay for it. So I went into the car, started it up, and it just hit me. I literally walked to work this morning. Now I'm driving home, and I got money in my pocket. I didn't pay for it at all. So I go home, and I'm like, wow, this is God answers prayer. And whenever I go to church or people talk about the goodness of God and blessings and all that, I share my story from losing my house to.
And I mean, I would love to. We have a little bit more time on the
Okay.
program. I want to talk about
All right.
Spain. This is an incredible story. So,
Okay.
But the reason you're here is because you're also competing in Spain.
Yes.
Or you want to get to Spain. So, what is it that's happening in Spain that's so important?
So Spain is the World Masters Track and Field Championships. All athletes 35 up to 100 and whatever, 105, 110 years old are competing, representing their countries. I will be representing Team USA along with, there's a total of about 7,000 athletes that's going to compete. In this competition, it's Olympic style. So whatever you place, that's your ranking in the world for your age group. So I'm preparing to go to Spain. This is my third competition overseas. My first one was 2015 in France.
Okay.
2016 was Australia. Before I went to Australia, funny story, when I was homeless, I went to France to compete, sleeping in a hotel and everything. I come back sleeping in my car.
It's so unreal. Like you're
Yeah.
going to compete and you're in a hotel, and then you come home and you're sleeping in a car.
I'm sleeping in my car. And at this time, I've been keeping in touch with one of the landlords to see, because he built a house from the ground up. So we met up and we had a talk in front of the house. We spoke in front of the house and he asked me, where am I staying? That's where I'm sleeping at. Well, how much can you afford if I give you this house? I told him how much. And he said, I'll give it to you. Then within about 5-6 months, we'll work something out. So that's the house that I'm at now.
Nice. And you're
Yeah.
renting the house? and
Yeah, I'm
everything?
renting the house. Eventually, I want to own it. But
Nice. And you're working now? Or
Yes.
Nice.
I'm working at the airport for FSS. We do the groundwork for Volaris Airlines and Aeromexico.
How like, you're on a climb up, and now Spain is coming up. If people want to support your trip, how could they do it?
I do have a GoFundMe site. It's gofundme.com/Malaga 2018. Malaga 2018. MALAGA 2018.
And that will help you get to Spain. And when you compete in Spain, is it like you win prizes, or what is it that you're competing for? Because really, like, you've jumped over life's challenges to compete.
Yes. When you're a fitness competitor or athlete, you want to see your ranking. How do you measure up against the best in the world in your age group? There is prizes. Some people have won whatever they spent on the trip, they got their money back. So there is prizes. If you want to hit a certain mark, if you want a shoe deal or a contract, you have to hit these elite marks.
And it's not easy.
It's not easy. All these years I've been coaching myself. I had periodic coaches here and there, but I've been consistent on my own, training myself until I get a legit coach to push me to the best of my abilities. I feel like I have one more good year to hit a 25-footer, 26-footer. I just need the right coaching and training for that.
Well, you're doing a lot of things right, man. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people would have been out years ago when you were going through your challenges, but here you are, and we're talking about you going to Spain. What is your goal? Like, what is it that, for you personally, what is your goal?
That's a loaded question. My goal is to execute my life experiences and apply it and be like the phoenix, grow from the ashes. I want to own a home. I want to have a brand new car. I want a family. Track, that's my way. Most guys go fishing. Most guys go gambling. I go for a run. I go for a run, and I like to showcase my talent, see where I rank with the best. That's why I compete. And of course, I want to win. The way I'm resilient in life, that's how I am in my sport. I want to win. And if I lose, okay, I lost, but I'm spending a whole year working on my weakness. When I went to France, I was ranked 36 in the world after competition, after everybody compete. 36.
That's not bad.
Yeah, 36 in the world for my age group was decent. The bad thing is everybody was jumping far, and I had a short approach, and they were like, man, you up there with me. And the reason why I'm self-coached, and you got the best of the coaches. So after analyzing my performance in France, I spent the whole year working on my weakness. I went from 36 in the world for my age group to number 8 in the world.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was in Perth, Australia.
And now you're in Spain, so you can bump up those numbers in Spain.
Yep, and I'm hungry. There's a lot of beasts out there. Like, there's a few European Olympians that's going to be out there competing, but it's like I'm in a lion's den and I'm meal prepping. I'm going to eat you for lunch. I'm going to eat you for dinner. You're going to be my snack. They don't intimidate me. I'm after you.
And how could they? I mean, really, what you've been through in life and what you've come from, I don't know how many people have a story like that. And so for you, it's like the Rocky. It's funny, we were talking off air a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like Rocky, and Rocky has some great quotes. And off air we were talking, I found out you and I have something in common.
Yeah.
We listen to motivational things on our free time. There's some good stuff out there. And so do you feel like a Rocky story? I mean, do you feel like an underdog that keeps climbing?
I feel I'm more than a Rocky story because I've firsthand experienced it, like, and the life lessons. I've learned how to be disciplined. I've learned how to be resilient with no help. Rocky had his coach.
Right, right.
His son had his father. I just had my Bible, the Lord, and Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins, Les Brown, all of them.
It sounds like motivational things really picked you up. For people who haven't listened to motivational videos or comments or phrases, should they?
You gotta, my advice is don't be a victim of your own thoughts.
That's an incredible speech, and we're almost out of time in this program. So one more time, how can people support your trip?
You can support my trip by going to GoFundMe.com/Malaga 2018. MALAGA 2018.
When is the trip?
The trip is September 4th through 16th, but I fly out on August 30th because jet lag and everything.
So we're going to be following you.
Okay.
And hopefully there's a way for us to watch you. We're rooting for you.
All right.
So, I mean, thank you for sharing your story. What an incredible story. Good luck to you on your trip.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the support.
That's all for this edition of the Central Valley Ledger. You just heard from Tony Williams, his incredible story from homeless in a car to now on his way to Spain to compete in long jump for the USA. Thank you to our volunteer crew that make this production and every production possible. We couldn't do it without you. Our director for this program was Paul Starcevich. Thank you to those watching this on Comcast 93 and AT&T 99, the CMAC channels. Thank you also to those listening to this broadcast on KFSR 90.7 FM. Hope you enjoyed the program this week. Hope you were motivated a little bit by Tony Williams' story. Tune in next week to a new edition.
KFSR and CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger every Sunday morning at 11:30. For a complete program schedule, visit kfsr.org.